But on my mind right now is something I could have easily touched on yesterday. But, you know, I hadn't seen all of the BET Awards, but I saw it last night. And I'm going to get started with that because this past weekend, the BET Awards, something we look forward to, something that's been a ratings bonanza, give credit where credit is due. This is a celebration, supposedly a celebration of black culture, music, and philanthropy. Yesterday, we talked about Will Smith's performance. Remember that? Usher's Lifetime Achievement Award and subsequent speech. Remember that? Well, today, somehow, some way, I've got to talk about something else I noticed that caught my eye. And I'm sure y'all saw it, and if you didn't see it, I wouldn't encourage you to go back and see it because I'm pretty pissed off about it. Did y'all see the In Memoriam segment paying tribute to, quote, black excellence in terms of that we unfortunately lost this year, the individuals that we lost? The tribute included nods to luminaries like Clarence Avant, Willie Mays, Lou Gossett Jr., Dexter Scott King, just to name a few, okay? However, there was a notable silence from the crowd when the image of OJ Simpson appeared on the big screen. You may recall OJ Simpson died this past April after a battle with cancer. Yes, he is known for being a Hall of Famer on the football field, out of USC and ultimately with the Buffalo Bills in his NFL career, but he was also accused of double murder. His ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and Ronald Goldman, back in 1994, the 30-year anniversary was just the other day, last month, June 12th to be exact. OJ was acquitted of those charges in 1995, but later found liable for their deaths a few years later in a civil trial. And the families of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ronald Goldman obviously criticized the BET Awards for paying tribute to Simpson. As well they should. I don't blame them one bit. And I'm going to say this to y'all. What's up? What's up? See, Jesse Collins Production Company, same man that produced the Super Bowl halftime show. Phenomenal producer. Produced the BET Awards. Okay? Constance Orlando, an executive VP, no doubt she was involved as an executive VP for BET. Scott Mills, he runs BET as well. Has been doing an exceptional job. I'm not here to cast any aspersions on them as individuals and the wonderful, wonderful work that they've done over the years. Let me be very, very clear. It's not for me to judge. Their body of work speaks for itself. I'm just talking about this one thing. And, you know, you got Tia Mowry up there. She's giving an introduction, paying tribute to all of this. And then OJ's face pops up on the screen, and you could hear the audience aghast. Clearly, everyone didn't approve of that. Clearly, most people were shocked by that, and they should be. Ladies and gentlemen, we got to call it like we see it. In the eyes of most people, regardless of an acquittal, OJ Simpson is a double murderer. Yes, he ultimately was convicted in a civil trial and obliged to pay $33.5 million to the Goldman family, which he never really did till the day he died. Never happened. But we all viewed him as a double murderer. He was ostracized and considered a pariah by the vast majority of American citizens. Why? Because regardless of what people want us to believe, unlike most situations, unfortunately, we saw the trial. And yeah, the glove didn't fit, so you must acquit. And the late, great Johnny Cochran pulled that off. And I've had Carl Douglas, the famed attorney working on Johnny Cochran's team during the OJ trial, on this show on a few occasions. And he talked about the preponderance of evidence that validated a civil suit against OJ Simpson, but not necessarily a criminal suit, because there were holes in the argument that were left by the LAPD and beyond, basically going out of their way to ensure that a person that was guilty in their eyes would be convicted, and it backfired on them. We know that story. But in the end, Nicole Brown Simpson is gone. Ronald Goldman is gone. The Brown family rather, is still around. The Goldman family, Fred Goldman, who I've always had a strong level of sympathy for, is still around. And you're OJ Simpson. I know this is not popular to say. And two of my boys, because I love Mace and I love Cameron, and I know what respect they have for OJ. I'm not casting any aspersions on anybody like that. They have their relationship with them, and that's their business. More power to them. My attitude is this. OJ Simpson never gave a shit about black people until he was indicted. Never gave a damn. You know, you look at Jay-Z's album, I'm not black, I'm OJ. Okay. That was what OJ said. I ain't black, I'm OJ. Never gave a damn. Never gave a damn about black folks until he was indicted on murder charges. Never gave a damn about black folks until he was ostracized, by and large, by society as a whole. Never gave a damn. And it just amazes me how we would sit up there and I'm looking at it, forget the fact that in memoriam he was celebrated, he was mentioned, what have you. I mean, I'm looking at it from the standpoint, how should the family of Carl Weathers feel? How should the family of Willie Mays feel? How should the family of Bill Cobbs? Y'all don't know about that fabulous actor that he was. Ghost of Mississippi, New Jack City, and a plethora of other films that he was a part of. He was a legendary figure. How's his family supposed to feel when they're mentioned in the same breath as OJ Simpson? Think about that for a second. It's the BET Awards. I mean, I know that it's no longer owned by Bob Johnson. I get that part. I understand that. I understand that in 2000, all right, I'm just pulling from my notes here to make sure that everybody knows that I kind of know. I'm going to do my research here. Paramount, then Viacom, 2000. They were sold by Bob Johnson for $3 billion. We get all of that. And I'm quite sure, I don't know this definitively, but it stands to reason that black folks ain't running Paramount. But you have black individuals in charge of BET, which is fair, which is the right thing to do. I'm just sitting up here absolutely positively flabbergasted that whether it's Scott Mills, whether it's Connie Orlando, whether it's Jesse Collins or whomever, how do we let that happen? How do we let that happen? And we got to call it like we see it. There's just no reason to celebrate this man. Okay, yeah, he should rest in peace. Sure, we should never talk about him again. Here's the bigger issue. We should never be given a reason to talk about him again. We certainly shouldn't be celebrating OJ Simpson. I'm sorry. Not when two people were damn near decapitated. And he was the prime suspect. And we know that an overzealous police department effed up the case, which ultimately got him acquitted because he had one of the greatest lawyers this nation has ever known in Johnny Cochran, the late, great Johnny Cochran. OJ never gave a damn. He hung around white people. He lived, that white culture. He didn't give a damn about his own. Ain't nothing wrong with that. You want to go to golf clubs and be members of golf clubs and all this stuff and live a posh, affluent lifestyle? Hell, we all trying to achieve that. I know I am. But what you never hear me say is that I'm not black. I'm Stephen A. Oh, I'm very black. Most of us are, if not all of us. I'm talking about in our spirit and in our soul. It's never something we want to detach ourselves from. That was OJ Simpson. And when we do shit like this, it stains all of us because we're giving tacit approval for his alleged acts when we shove that aside. This ain't like the jury letting him off in a criminal case where they saw holes in the argument, where they knew the LAPD engaged in unethical behavior. And on top of it all, you had the backdrop of the LAPD and how they were treating citizens in LA at that time and for decades prior to that, which had basically sullied and alienated the black community against LAPD for years. This is not that case. This is the BET Awards. This is a celebration of blackness, of black culture, of black entertainment, of black excellence. And when you do something like this, you got folks outside the community see that shit? TMZ talking about it, NBC talking about it, CNBC talking about it, CBS talking about it, USA Today talking about it, PBS, everybody but PBS. When that kind of stuff happens, how do you think that benefits us? And that's a story that we don't get into nearly as much as we should. Did it ever occur to anybody To remind yourself of the responsibility we have. I'm not blaming any of the folks there in the audience. They didn't know. And even though BET is owned by Paramount, it's still BET. Black folks everywhere, all up in there. And that's what we celebrate. We, as a community, are going to be held accountable for that. Subliminally, subconsciously. People going to look at us with raised eyebrows and think as a community, oh, you down with that? You cool with that? That's what you celebrate. The collective whole is what matters. Not one individual. God rest his soul. God will deal with him because God knows what he did and what he didn't do. It ain't for me to judge or anybody else to judge, but we saw what we saw. The trial was televised. His actions and his dismissiveness and disassociation and distance from the black community was self-inflicted. He created that. He wanted nothing to do with us. Where's this affinity for him? Where's the evidence that he ever gave a shit about us? I just don't understand. And I think that when it comes to something like that, you got to guard against that. I'd love to know if Tia Mowry knew anything about that. Because had that been me, and they asked me to MC that segment, and I saw that OJ was a part of it, I would not have done it. And if I was on that stage and his face popped up, I would have been mic'd up on camera, and I would have been like, I don't know whose idea that was, but I don't have anything to do with that. I didn't know. That's what I would have said. Now, everybody ain't me, and I understand that. And I'm not judging in regards to her or anybody else. I'm just saying, come on. Come on. We all suspect we know what he did, but nobody definitively knows what he did but God himself, OJ himself, and of course the souls of Ron Goldman and Nicole Brown Simpson. So it'll be for God to judge. But I got to tell you, that was a bad look on the part of the BET Awards. It really, really was. Don't get me started with all that twerking and all of that stuff. I had to tell my daughter who was on the phone with me, I made her turn the channel. I'm going to just leave it at that. My teenage daughter, I didn't want her seeing that. All that damn twerking and ass is hanging out and all that. Nah. But this stuff with OJ, it can't get much more classless than that. And by the way, it also begs the question right now. If you're the Oscars, you going to celebrate Woody Allen? What are we going to do if Bill Cosby's name comes up? Eventually. I mean, it begs, Harvey Weinstein, stuff like that with other events. It's going to be interesting to see what other events do. Oscars, Emmys, stuff like that. It's going to be interesting to see what others do. Only last part I would make is this. Was Andre Brower mentioned? I don't recall. If he wasn't, he should have been. And I don't think he was. I didn't see it. How is he not mentioned? Get on the bus along with various other movies he's done over the years. He was another fabulous actor. We got to guard who we celebrate, ladies and gentlemen. Who we're willing to celebrate sometimes is a reflection on us more so than it is on those folks. Especially when they're gone and we're still here. Sometimes you really, really needed to let them rest in peace. I'm just saying.